Last time on ProtoBalls Z.
Speaking of Halloween, I disown you. No, Vampire Jekyll!
He's dead, Jim.
That
happened. Hey, so Vampire Jekyll's gone. He disappeared into the abyss.
I still miss your ear, son!
Actually, what happened was ProtoMet told him to get the fuck out of his house, so he left. He didn't want no part of this, apparently. What a doucher. Today, it's ProtoBalls Talk. We're back. The worst podcast you've ever heard.
Yay. We accomplished something.
We accomplished something. Going for last place.
Yay. Still trying, though.
Still trying. No, today we're reviewing the ultimate classic, the ultimate John Carpenter movie, Halloween.
Yay.
Yeah.
It is a good movie.
The Rob Zombie remake.
Oh, we were going to have that joke.
Yeah.
But then he opted out. Oh, man.
Yeah, to lay down the scene on that joke, I was going to do the Rob Zombie one, and he was going to do the 2018 one.
And I was going to do the original. We would have been all confused because we would have been reviewing different movies. But then he decided not to show up.
He's too busy having fun.
Fuck him. Fuck him and fun.
Anyway, alright.
I'd much prefer to be alone and miserable.
You already are alone and miserable half the time.
Then there you go!
Mission accomplished!
Self-deprecation! Yay!
Today, Halloween, 1978. When somebody mentions John Carpenter, probably the first thing that usually pops into people's minds is Halloween. It is by far his seminal film, his signature film. It was arguably,
it's a good one.
It's arguably the one that put him on the map, to be honest. Other than maybe Assault on Precinct 13. I'm not sure if that one came out before or after this.
Couldn't tell you. I've never seen it.
But that one was also a really good one that helped put him on the map. Let me just...
insert joke about the remake.
Yeah. Okay, so Assault on Precinct 13 was what put him on the map. Halloween is what made him a household name.
Yeah.
I mean...
not in this household.
Oof.
In this household, we refer to him as John Carpenter.
Did he turn French all of a sudden?
Yes.
Or did he turn Canadian?
I needed him to for this joke.
Shit. Well, that's gone over like a lead balloon.
A Led Zeppelin.
Ooh, shit. Damn, we're cranking out all the jokes today.
That is actually how they came up with that name. Somebody told them their band would go over as well as a Led Zeppelin.
Yikes.
And look at them now! Anyway, back to Halloween.
Yeah, it was, released, it was released on October 25th, 1978, Halloween season, which is nice. Nice. 10 out of 10 marketing.
We refer to this period as the pre-Gundam era.
I suppose.
PG. The PG era.
Oh, the PG era, huh? I suppose. It was, it's about an hour and a half long, which is actually a very nice pace.
Oh,
yeah. The budget was about, $300,000 to $325,000, which is paltry back in the day. Or a lot, depending on inflation. I don't know if it counts for inflation here.
So the movie starts with a POV murder scene. As we see from the perspective of a young child named Michael Myers. Probably never heard of him. As he just ends up murdering his sister for seemingly no reason.
Yep, it's a funny scene in hindsight when he walks into her room and she's nude. She's in the the setup for it is she had just got done having sex.
With her boyfriend,
With
who
her
just left.
Who had
Passing Michael on his way out.
Yeah, no, that's what makes this pretty funny, is Michael's on his way up with the knife, and the boyfriend's just like, hey, bye. just leave, he books it.
He doesn't even realize there's anything wrong.
He cummed and dumped.
Oh. Camed and damed. Oh, that's so lewd. Let's move along.
Scooted and shooted.
Yeah, that's a much more advertiser-friendly way of putting it. Anyway. You broke me.
Alright, 6 minutes in, and already I've broken ProtoMet. No, so she's in a room, she's in the nude, she hasn't gotten dressed yet, she's fixing her hair.
And then Michael just starts stabbing her.
And staring at the knife.
No, at one point he just starts looking out the window.
Yeah, it's a very nice window.
Like he's still stabbing his sister, but damn that it's a nice window.
It's supposed to be him watching himself knife her, continually stabbing her, but the way it's shot is just fucking...
It's like he got distracted by the window.
Hey, that is a nice window.
That was a nice window.
I would like to know who made that window. I would like to buy it, please.
Well, too late. Somebody already bought it.
Shit. So he finishes stabbing her, and
then he goes outside where his parents beat him and take off the mask. And, that happened on a Halloween. End of movie. See you later, guys.
Yep, there you go. There's the plot twist.
Man, for a short film, that was a pretty long runtime.
Yeah, an hour and a half of him just stabbing her to death. It was just him stabbing her repeatedly for an hour and a half.
Makes sense.
I mean, yeah. Hey, come on.
That's why people hated it so much. It was so boring.
Yeah.
After the first 20 minutes of
So after that, I do want to talk about one thing here. I want to talk about the music. Which is iconic.
Music.
If you've never heard of Halloween's music, then you probably...
Then you've never seen a Halloween movie.
You've never seen a horror movie.
Because if you've ever seen any Halloween movie, you've heard the Halloween theme. Except for 3. But we'll get to that when we get to that. I don't want to reveal my thoughts on that just yet.
We'll get to that in a couple years.
Shh, spoilers.
That's not spoilers.
It is for them who don't know that we're only doing one Halloween video a year.
I'd like to apologize.
Yeah, you spoiled that for everybody.
It was...
But yeah, no, the music is fantastic.
It's actually done by John Carpenter himself, so...
Which is...
I mean, he also did the opening theme for Prince of Darkness, too, so, I mean, you can tell he has musical chops. And I was actually listening to the music on my way here. It still holds up incredibly well.
Oh, yeah,
and,
definitely.
It's what, like 8 o'clock, 8:11 right now.
As we're recording this.
At sunset around 6:30. Yeah, it's still effective.
Oh, yeah.
It makes you, it's perfect paranoia
delusion. Whatever.
It's perfect nightmare fuel. There you go. Somewhat.
It's unsettling.
Yeah, that's the word.
It's like, I wouldn't call it nightmare fuel. I'd call it unsettling.
So, we cut to a couple years later, 1978.
It's not a couple years later. That's 15 years later.
A couple.
No, 13 years later. Sorry.
A couple.
A couple. Over a decade. Who's counting?
Give or take about 13 years.
A decade and a couple.
No one's counting.
Except for everybody who's counting.
But we're introduced to our first main character, Dr. Loomis,
played by Donald Pleasance.
Yeah, so Donald Pleasance is in this movie. I may have spoiled it in the Prince of Darkness review, but
Actually,
that's not...
I'm pretty sure I did, because I kept referring to that character in that as Father Loomis.
Father Loomis. Yeah, he's in this movie, but I just want to take a second to talk about him for a second, because anybody who... God. After 1978, Donald Pleasance was known for being Dr. Loomis. Before Halloween. So after Halloween, this is basically the role that defined him for the rest of his life, in a way. But before Halloween, Donald Pleasance was most known for being Ernst Stavro Blofeld in You Only Live Twice, the James Bond picture.
A movie no one has ever seen ever except for this idiot.
Yeah, I know. It's only like the third or fourth highest grossing James Bond film.
No one ever.
No one's ever seen it. Not a damn person. But oh yeah, so for this role basically defined him. Redefined him as an actor. And
he kills it in this role.
He is amazing in this, and because he's a classically trained actor, so I mean he's.
What does that even mean at this point?
I think it means he got his start in theater.
Okay.
So Donald Pleasance is amazing in this role, and he kills it. And there, so he's with a colleague of his, Marion Chambers is her name. That's never revealed in the film, I don't think.
Because she's such a minor character in the movie.
Yeah, she only shows up in this one scene.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So he.
They're driving to the ward asylum that he.
They're driving to Smith's Grove Sanitarium,
which is where Loomis works.
Is where
as a psychiatrist.
And as they're on their way, they notice that it's raining, by the way. They notice that a bunch of the inmates are out, and it's the dead of night. Huh.
And the nurse is like, I didn't know you guys let the... Do you guys let the patients out this late? And Loomis just immediately knows that something is wrong.
Yeah, Loomis is just like, stay in the car, I've got a gun, don't worry about it.
Wait, why do you have a gun?
Don't worry about it. Well, yeah. Don't worry about it.
So he goes to check on
he goes to
something.
He goes to try and open the main gate,
which took. I saw that it was already open.
Yeah,
it was like just slightly ajar. I figured he was going to go check on the
guard?
person, the guard. Yeah, the guard.
Yeah,
who was attending it. See what was up with that.
So as soon as Loomis leaves to go check on it, and
somebody jumps the car.
Yeah,
not with a motorcycle, just jumps on top of the car and attacks the nurse and hijacks the vehicle and drives off.
Yeah, this dude puts the nurse in a state of panic, and she accidentally almost drives off the road, and then she just books it out of the car. And the guy just steals it, and he also almost punched out a window with his palm. The dude was so strong. He punched out a light with his palm.
He bitch slapped a window and almost broke it.
Yeah, dude's wicked strong.
Crazy.
Great. So yeah, she books it out of there. He steals the vehicle, and it's here that ProtoMet brought up the biggest plot hole of the movie.
So this character who just hijacked the vehicle is obviously Michael Myers, who has been in an asylum for 13 years. When did he learn how to drive a car?
And
because he drives it pretty fucking well for somebody who's been in prison since he was like 6.
And I keeping kayfabe and, of course, suspending my disbelief, coming up with anything that could make sense. Power of evil.
Works. Makes sense.
Makes sense. Power of evil. He's so evil, he learned how to drive through dark arts.
For the record, me bringing this up was really just kind of me trying to find fault with this movie.
Literally, that's like the only thing wrong with this. Other than a couple of other things, but...
There are a couple of other things.
But yeah, this is like the only thing wrong with the movie.
Yeah. And even that's completely negligible.
This one can be kind of hand waves.
It's written this way.
Yeah. It's written this way. Just
my mouth wants to turn into a butthole.
Well, as long as you aren't... Well, you are a butt.
This is true.
Ouch. So Loomis watching, and another thing, Loomis doesn't bother fucking helping at all.
I figured that he was still checking on the guard while all this was happening. Just come out, seen this commotion going on, and was just now getting close.
No, but here's the thing.
Investigate.
Here's the thing. As soon as Marion started driving, he turned and was watching the entire thing go down. So the thing is, what was Loomis doing? Loomis was probably just like, I'm not getting involved in that. Nope.
I'm pretty confident he was watching this and thinking, I want some pancakes. I could go for some pancakes right now.
Hey.
Shit, somebody's being carjacked in front of me. I should probably do something.
Now why would Loomis...
Pancakes!
Now why would Loomis be thinking about pancakes? If you had said Belgian waffles, you might have had an argument. Oh God! Oh! Trying to suffocate me. Michael Myers has flown the coop.
Yep.
He's
gone. Bye, Michael. Wonder who the killer is in this movie then.
I don't fucking know. Probably some douchebag named Jason.
Sounds like such a girly name. Jason. It's probably a wimp. Weakling wussy.
Probably deformed.
That's taking it too far, man.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, God. No, Clubfoot. Now that's your...
Clubfoot. That's their game.
That is a reference to my Recycled Balls playthrough of Crusader Kings 2, where one of the characters that he was playing as had a clubfoot, and he was so broken up over it, and I'm just sitting here like, discriminator.
Clubfoots are not good traits to have. Nobody loves you. Not even your parents. They're just like, hey, you got a clubfoot. Damn, you're a sicko. You're a freak.
And yet he married the best queen you've had so far.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's spoiler territory.
Yeah. Or it turned out to be the best character I've had so far.
Anyway, back to Halloween.
Man.
Oh, his Wikipedia shut off.
Yeah, hold on.
So we cut to, what is it?
High school. We cut to a high school.
Haddonfield, Illinois?
Which is based off of Springfield, Illinois.
Which is probably why I kept thinking that it was spring something.
Yeah.
I kept thinking it was Springwood, but I knew for a fact that couldn't be Springwood because that's another slasher movie franchise.
Yeah, no. So we cut to Haddonfield, and we're in the high school.
Stuff is happening.
Stuff is happening, but we're introduced to our next character here. We're introduced to Laurie Strode, played by
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Never heard of her.
Oh, she hawks yogurt.
Oh, okay.
She's that yogurt lady.
I see.
No,
this is Jamie Lee Curtis. This is her first film role, and it's probably her most iconic.
Which is probably why she's reprised the role multiple times over the years, including last year.
Yeah.
But she still hawks yogurt now, so...
oh, does she?
Yes!
Is that... No.
Activia?
Oh!
You didn't realize that was her?
I didn't know that was her!
Oh, yeah!
Oh, fuck!
Yeah!
Jamie, what happened to you?
I know!
She was also in Freaky Friday, so that's,
the remake.
The remake, so that's another one for her.
And she was also married to Tim Allen in that one movie, Christmas with the Cranks.
Oh God, we don't talk about that.
I do!
No!
In addition to other numerous roles, include... No, wait, no, never mind. That's a different actress. Sorry, never mind.
You idiot.
At least I didn't say what movie it was.
She's also, just another fun fact, she's also the daughter of Janet Leigh. And Lucas didn't know who it was.
I'm not an old person with old person memories, like my younger brother here.
Ouch. Fuck. I'm gonna have to go take the walk of shame on this
To
one.
be fair, you had a giver. You've never read that book, The Giver?
No.
It's a pretty good book.
But no, she is the daughter of Janet Leigh. Anybody who's even, like, familiar with older horror movies knows that she's Marion Crane from Psycho. She is the chick that's killed in the shower.
Yeah, she's the main character who gets killed halfway through.
Yeah. So, sort of a legacy and lineage going on here.
As a scream queen.
Mm-hmm. Although many people think that that Jamie Lee Curtis is the first one, which it's debatable. She might be.
She might have been the first one to appear in multiple films of a franchise and live.
But yeah, they're in school. Something's happening. Not much is happening, but she looks out the window, and she notices that somebody's staring at her from a car. Weird. Okay. So they finally all get out of school, and we're met by another character, Tommy Doyle.
Yes. Little kid.
Little kid. He's like what, 9 or 10?
I don't know.
Somewhere in that range.
I thought Michael was 6, but he might have been 10 at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah,
so I'm a terrible judge at people's ages.
But he's carrying a big pumpkin.
I'm still surprised that Chuck Norris is in his 70s.
Fucking Christ, guy. What a non sequitur. Oh yeah, so there's this kid holding a pumpkin. Man, Chuck Norris is in his 70s. I can't believe this. Fuck.
It's true though.
Look who's the one going on tangents now.
Sorry.
No, we're met with Tommy Doyle. He's a younger kid, and he's carrying a pumpkin, and he's getting
bullied
practically.
Practically, he's just being outright bullied.
I suppose.
And at one point, one of the bullies trips him, and causes the poor kid to land on his pumpkin, crushing it. That is such a waste. How could you destroy a precious gift from God like that? Monsters, you are going straight to hell.
You done prophesizing, Lich Lord?
Yes.
Okay.
Sam's coming to get you.
Shit. So they all run off, and one of them accidentally runs into Michael.
And this is another point where I have a bit of a nitpick, but I'll cover that in a little bit. We don't actually see what Michael looks like now that he's 23, but
right, that thing.
we can tell that it's him.
Yeah,
like it's pretty obvious.
And the kid runs off, but whatever.
Lori meets up with some of her friends.
Yeah.
They get to talking.
And Michael passes by in the car.
And one of Lori's friends just decides to be a bitch about it.
Speed kills! And
he brakes.
He hits the brake. And it's here that I thought it was an interesting... And they pause for a few seconds, and Lori is ready to freak out. She's like, what the fuck is going on here? Oh, no. She knows something's wrong here. And the other chicks are just like, all right, we're waiting.
And then the car turns into a bumblebee. No, I'm kidding.
Shit.
Nothing actually happens in this scene.
No, he drives off. But it brings up an interesting thought.
It is a tense scene.
No, it brings up an interesting thought I didn't think about for almost all the years that I've seen this movie. That I'll bring up in a bit. later down the lines. So Laurie sort of chews out
Her friend.
Yeah, chews out Annie.
Her friend.
Mm-hmm.
For kind of being a bitch to a guy she doesn't know.
Yep. So then we cut to Dr. Loomis.
He's talking with what, the sheriff?
He's talking with somebody on the phone. Or no. Before he's at the sanitarium talking with another doctor who shows up in the new movie, by the way. Just weird. And he's just like, I have to go get him because people are going to die if he stays out there.
Yeah, Loomis is trying to be on top of things. He's that crazy guy who's right.
And he's just like, you should have done all you could to keep him in there, and you failed to do so. It's all your fault. And Loomis is chewing out this doctor. And the doctor's just like, well, want to release him? He hasn't done anything. And Loomis is just like, no, you do not let him go. He's already escaped. What is there to release?
And so now Loomis is in Haddonfield talking with the sheriff.
He's on the phone on the highway, and he's talking with somebody, and he hangs up. And he's warning them, really. And he hangs up, and he notices a car that's
in a ditch.
And he goes over to check it out, and he finds a bunch of clothes, white clothes, like they're scrubs from a home.
I almost like to think that the car in the ditch was the vehicle that Michael hijacked, and that he hijacked a second one and took the guy's clothes. And that's what's all going on?
No.
No.
Doesn't make sense because he still has the government car that he stole.
Oh.
From the thing.
Well, see how well I remember?
Yeah, right? So Loomis walks off, and we get our first death of the movie.
Apparently.
Just some guy. Just some mechanic, randomly.
I mean, he's not even there. He could have just... Actually, this is the second death of the movie.
Oh, yeah. No, this is the first one.
No. Sister.
Sister.
The very beginning of the movie.
Oh, right. Okay. Ha! Got me.
You forgot how the movie began.
That one did not... I never counted that one, to be honest.
I did because somebody died. Unlike you, who, unless they die on screen, are completely willing to say, no, they survived. They're just floating out there in space.
The reason I didn't count it is because it was a flashback. So, I mean...
It still happened.
I guess. I just never really thought about it.
Also, who was having the flashback? Was it Michael? Yeah. I mean, it made sense when it was in his perspective, but what about when it wasn't?
Camera trick.
Slap.
You bitch.
Slap.
Okay, so anyway. So now Michael Myers is walking around. He's stalking everybody, really. He's sort of...
He's being a creeper.
Yeah. He's stalking...
Just like a standard slasher movie villain.
Yep. He's stalking Laurie, and Laurie's getting a bit freaked out by it.
Makes sense.
And so she goes home, and somebody calls her. And she picks it up, and nobody answers.
Nobody's saying nothing.
So she
angrily hangs up, and then she gets another call like immediately afterwards. She picks it up, and she is upset. And
it's her friend Annie.
It's
hey, why'd you hang up on me, motherfucker? You dick!
You bitch! You couldn't stop eating when you were talking on the phone. That's the reason why Laurie didn't hear anything. It was because Annie was chewing on something.
Motherfucker.
It's a bait and switch.
Stupid.
Makes you think, the killer's calling her and being all creepy. No, it's just her friend who decided to just chew on some gum right before calling a friend.
Yeah, what an idiot. So they're making plans somewhat. They have to babysit
Some kids.
Some kids on Halloween night. One of them being Tommy.
And the other being some other... Lindsay? Lindsay, was it? I think it was Lindsay.
I think it was Lindsay. Oh my god. Yeah, Lindsay. Oh my god. You know what I'm... Oh my god.
I know. Oh my god.
There's a scene later that's questionable.
Yeah. That...
But yeah, no, so Loomis finally gets home. Or finally gets to Haddonfield.
Loomis lived in Haddonfield? Okay.
He probably did. I don't fucking know.
We never find out.
He finally gets to Haddonfield. But, hold on. Let me get my bearings here, because there's a lot of names in this movie. Lori and Annie are hanging out. Okay? They're hanging out. They're in the car, and they're smoking pot. They're also listening to,
Don't Fear the Reaper by Blue Oyster Cult.
Yep, they're listening to Don't Fear the Reaper,
which we had not noticed until this watch through of the movie.
Yep, and they come up to a tool shop.
Yeah, like a hardware store that the police are investigating with its burglar alarm just blaring.
Yeah,
and it turns out Annie's dad is the sheriff or whatever.
Yep. Annie's dad is the sheriff.
And they'd been smoking some joints just before.
And Lori cannot stop coughing. Lori, what the fuck? Come on! Be cool, man! Hey, Dad. Hi! Oh, it's a pretty funny scene. And he's just like... I don't fucking know who came in here. They just stole a mask and some knives. So there you go.
All right.
Have free reign on this one.
Okay, so I think we're led to believe that either this robbery happened very recently, or that this burglar alarm has just been going off for hours. Because earlier, when one of the bullies that was bullying Tommy bumps into Michael, while you don't actually see Michael's face, you can get a glimpse of his neck, and it's clear that he's already wearing the mask that is iconic for this franchise. Oh, which makes me wonder, did that scene happen before he robbed the hardware store, or did the hardware store robbery happen after that? What?
Yeah, that's sort of a minor plot hole, though, and that's really...
Admittedly, and
it's kind of a nitpick, though, too.
Yes, and it's kind of a blink and you'll miss it kind of goof, I suppose.
Yeah, I think what they were going for was, I guess they had the mask on just so...
so the actors...
You couldn't see who it was, I guess, you know?
So that they could identify for the crew who the killer was.
Yeah, I guess. That makes sense to me.
Whatever.
But speaking of the mask is iconic, as ProtoMet said, but it's actually the face of a real person. Don't reveal it yet. It is the face of an old friend of ours. A Mr. James Tiberius Kirk.
That means this movie's part of the Star Wars canon.
It's
not Star Trek. Sorry. I am so sorry. I am immediately.
You have been banished from your own house. Be gone.
Yeah.
Star Trek and Star Wars, motherfucker.
Hey, I'm back. I brought the milk you asked for.
Okay. Was your face on it?
Yes.
Did you deserve to go missing after that mistake? I saw that comment. You're like, oh, the Star Wars, and immediately I see you turn around and you're like, oh God, no! What have I done?
Oh God, what have I done?
No, yeah, the mask is William Shatner, our old friend. Old friend. And what they did, it was an official licensed Star Trek mask.
That they spray painted white and dyed the hair
black. So yeah, that's the mask.
So technically speaking, William Shatner is the face of the Halloween franchise. Just putting that out there.
He's not wrong. And man, imagine if William Shatner actually played Michael Myers. Oh my god, that would be amazing. He'd have the mask and it'd have it ripped off him, and it's actually William Shatner. He's just
when did the first motion picture come out?
79.
Okay.
This is the spark that gave us the motion picture.
Oh my god, there is so much. Like, this movie is so fun on several different...
I feel that we should mention that at this point in the movie, no one's actually seen the mask yet.
No.
That hasn't been revealed.
So they drive off, and Loomis shows up, and he meets the sheriff. Sheriff, what's his name?
Sheriff, what's his name?
Sheriff Lee Brackett.
Sheriff, what's his name?
Yeah. No.
It doesn't matter who he is. This is like his only other scene.
No.
Except for one. Okay, there is one later on.
There's a couple of scenes with him.
Shut up.
But he
I said shut up. No, keep going.
But no, he's we do run into him earlier in the movie too. When he accidentally runs into, or when Jamie Lee Curtis accidentally runs into him, and he's like, "Oh, it's Halloween. Everybody's entitled to one good scare."
Yeah, he gives her a jump scare unintentionally.
Because she was because Michael Myers was stalking her.
Yeah, so she was a little on edge already.
But he meets up with Dr. Loomis, and Dr. Loomis is like, yeah, something. Hey, I'm from the sanitarium a couple miles away. Yeah, somebody kind of broke out, and yeah, there's a little bit of trouble going on here. And the sheriff's like, well, shit. Okay, tell me more about it at the station. So
we never hear from them ever again.
So Loomis is standing there, and he's taking a look at what's going on, and a car drives right past him.
He's looking towards the camera. The car passes right behind him, and he completely misses it.
And it's Michael's car. It's the car that Michael...
It's not Michael's car. It's the car Michael stole.
Oh, no, that car is Michael's now. It's his bitch.
Oh, transitive property. Okay.
Transitive property. Possession is 9/10 of the law.
I don't even know what that means.
It means if you possess it, 9 times out of 10, it's yours.
Okay.
So, we're learning things.
Right.
That also meant... That's also like an 18th or 19th century...
In any event,
phrase.
It's kind of a nice jab, I guess.
Yeah.
That he just completely misses it when it passes almost completely under his nose.
Yeah, if Loomis had seen it, chances are this movie would have been already over.
Yeah.
Because Loomis would have been like, all right, bitch, that's it, you're done. Chasing him downtown.
But he just so happens to miss it because he's turning his head.
Yeah.
Just as it's
So it's getting nighttime. And so, crap. Hold on.
Oh, no, the reason why Annie had called her earlier was because I think she'd either double booked babysitting.
Yeah.
And so I think she had agreed to babysit 2 kids from separate families without realizing her own mistake.
Right.
And she had asked Lori to cover
Tommy
while she was watching Lindsay. And she said she basically coerced Lori into doing this by convincing her that she'd hook her up with what's his name?
Oh, fuck. What is his name?
Some character who doesn't show up in this movie.
He actually shows up in the sequel, and he's sort of a fake-out character, but... I
can't remember the cute guy from school that Lori's kind of crushing on.
Yeah, hold on. Give me just a second. I will get you the name here.
Time's up.
Oh, fuck.
But yeah, that's what's going on. So then cut now back to here. Lori's going to Tommy's place to look after the kid, while Annie goes to Lindsay's place to look after her.
Yeah.
But I think Lindsay's also expecting her boyfriend to show up or something, because Of course, she's a babysitter. Of course, she's gonna have a
Ben
friend.
Tramer is his name.
That's it, Ben Tramer.
Ben Tramer, the hot guy from school. So Lori goes to Tommy Doyle's place, and Annie goes to Lindsay's place, and they're actually right across the street.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, she didn't have to do much. All she would have had to do was, "Hey Tommy, come on over," or "Hey Lindsay, come on over."
But that would have left less time for her boyfriend.
We don't talk about that. So Lori and Tommy are hanging out. They're watching movies, and speaking of, Howard Hawks' Thing from Another World showed up on one of the televisions.
Both of them, actually.
Both of them.
Because I think Lindsay, at her place, she's watching the movie.
And Tommy is
and then Tommy and Lori, at one point, start watching the movie, which makes me assume that they're watching different channels.
Maybe.
Either that, or they're just repeating this movie throughout the movie. Or throughout the night.
And they also
It sounds like a kind of terrible way to keep people invested in watching your channel.
they're also
Granted, that did work for me in the Iron Giant, so.
ouch. But no, they're also
That movie was good.
they also showed The Day the Earth Stood Still. We think that's what it was.
Yeah, we're not sure.
I'm almost certain it's The Day the Earth Stood Still. So
I was almost convinced that he would actually know what the other movie was.
yeah, I've seen a lot of movies, but just like a small snippet of a scene is just sort of blink and you miss it, and I don't know. But they're hanging out, and then Annie calls Lori, and she's just like, "Hey, so how's babysitting going?" And she's sort of nonplussed by it.
It's like, babysitting.
Oh well, it's babysitting, and Annie's just like, "Hey, guess what? So, I may have talked to Ben Tramer into taking you to the dance tomorrow." And Lori's just like, "What? Oh no, what? No."
Also, there's a dance tomorrow? Where was the advertisement for this?
Yeah.
I am woefully underprepared. I did not pick up my dress. Oh, God.
Meanwhile, she's being... Oh, God. Here comes the beauty queen. You look beautiful, hon.
I was actually going to keep doing that while you went on.
You look beautiful.
I couldn't think of anything else to say.
But no, somebody's watching her out of the window, watching Annie from the window, and the dog
starts barking.
The dog starts
at the intruder,
and Annie thinks it's barking at her
because she and the dog don't exactly have the best of experiences.
Yes,
for whatever reason, it's never explained. But
so the dog goes away, and it goes outside, and Michael's standing there, and the dog starts barking at him. At Michael.
There is a website called Does the Dog Die that would give you the details on what happens in this movie, probably. Spoiler alert, yes, he does.
I don't want to say it, but press F for respects. Press F to pay respects.
That is such a meme now. Oh, that is... Why would any game actually do that unironically?
Because it's Call of Duty.
I know!
Press F to pay your respects to your fallen brother. I'm respecting my brother. I'm hitting F as hard as I can.
I hope you can hear this because I'm hitting this F as hard as I can.
Respects are given all around. But yeah, so Michael kills the dog.
Michael kills the dog.
In a move that would make PETA piss its pants.
It's not like they actually killed the dog, though.
Oh, they killed the dog. He chokes that fucker out.
I mean, like, in real life. The dog.
In real life, no. But still, PETA would be like, "Oh, that's it. You killed a dog on screen."
It does look kind of realistic. I mean, you only see it from the legs down, but...
And the legs go completely limp.
Yeah. Which... Good effect, I will give him that.
It also just is just
it's
like...
well-trained dog.
It's also just like, Jesus, Michael, fuck, you're strong. I mean, then again, there was already a given. He did
bitch slap that window.
He did bitch slap that window. That is true. So he goes away, and Annie spills something.
She gets distracted and ends up spilling on her shirt, so she has to go out and do the laundry because apparently this family doesn't keep their laundry machine inside the house.
Hey, this was the 70s, okay? It was a different time.
It was a stupider time, is what it was.
What are you trying to say?
I'm trying to say you're stupid.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
I didn't know I was from the 70s. I didn't know you voted.
That's from like last. He saw a sticker that's on my desk that's from last year during an election.
I didn't know you voted.
I just stuck it on there and never bothered to take it down.
It's a reminder that you exercised your right as an American citizen. God, but you have to pay respects. Okay, so she gets stuck. She actually gets stuck in the shed.
What happens is she goes out to the shed to do her laundry. The door closes and locks behind her, and she can't get out.
So she gets stuck.
So at one
and
point,
she's trying to call to Lindsay, and Lindsay's too busy watching the movie to give a fuck.
Yeah, it's like a phone starts ringing, and Annie's like, "Lindsay, answer the phone. I'm stuck out here. It might be my boyfriend." So Lindsay's like,
all right.
So she reluctantly answers the phone, and
hello?
It is who Annie thought it was going to be.
It was her boyfriend.
So Lindsay has to get up from her chair and stop watching the movie she was enjoying and go save Lindsay, who got herself stuck in a window trying to climb out. Annie, who gets herself stuck in a window trying to climb out.
And Annie's just like, please don't tell him about this.
And as soon as Lindsay picks the phone back up, she tells him that that's what happened.
She got stuck in the window.
Lindsay don't give a shit. It's like, bitch, you made me miss part of the movie.
Bitch, I am ruthless.
I am going to take every opportunity to humiliate you.
What would have made the scene even better is if she was like, yeah, she got stuck in the window. If the fucking toque and the glasses came on the screen. Thug life. Oh my god, this movie's so good.
So then Annie and her boyfriend are talking, and Annie and her boyfriend wants her to come out and pick him up for some reason.
Because the fat fuck can't fucking come over.
So then Annie has to convince Lindsay to go over to Tommy's place, which is actually incentive enough for Lindsay to actually do it.
Yeah. So the way it's done is actually pretty smart because Annie's just like, hey, well, I know you want to keep watching movies. I know a place where you can keep watching movies, and you'll be hanging out with Tommy Doyle. How's that sound? Well, shit, sounds like a good plan to me. Tommy's my friend.
It's like, shit, I threw you under the bus a minute ago, but damn, you are nice.
There's also a scene where
so at this point, Lori is stuck with two kids to babysit.
yeah, but and before all of this happened, Lori and Tommy are sharing a scene, and Tommy's like, "What's the boogeyman?" And Lori's not giving him an answer.
I think part of the reason they're talking about that.
Part of the reason is the bullies were like, the boogeyman.
The bullies told Tommy the boogeyman's coming to get you, and then they find Tommy's hidden collection of comic books, and Lori starts listing off the various man names of the comics, just kind of being pretty incredible.
Rayman,
Atom, Atomic Man, Crocodile Man,
Nuclear Man. We don't talk about Nuclear Man.
It's Radioactive Man, bitch.
Oh. Was that Radioactive Man from Superman 4?
No, I think that was Nuclear Man. I was referring to Radioactive Man from The Simpsons.
Oh.
It's pastiche of Captain America and Superman.
Great. We've now been copyright claimed. There's nothing to copyright. Or claim, at least.
Yeah. Anywho. So, yeah, that's the impetus for Tommy asking Lori about the boogeyman.
And Lori doesn't give him a straight answer. So they go to cut a pumpkin, and then we finally get to this scene.
And Lindsay is there now.
Annie goes to.
I think she's going to get the popcorn or something.
Well,
she leaves the room for reasons.
Lori leaves, but
Yeah.
Annie goes back to the house, and she goes into her car
To take off.
and then look, a three-headed monkey. Oh shit, she's dead.
Yeah, Michael, it was in the back of the vehicle, and he starts strangling her, and then
he fucking scissor-manned that shit without the driving too. He's just like, hey bitch, here I am.
And then he uses his knife to slash her throat. And yeah, I'll talk about this a little later.
Okay,
Keep going.
fair enough. But yeah, so Annie's dead.
So, anyway, back at Tommy's place, he and Lindsay are kind of talking, and Tommy kind of tricks her into thinking he disappeared while he hides behind a curtain. And while he's looking out, he sees a guy with a white mask on carrying Annie back into the house. And that freaks him the fuck out, which causes him to back up into Lindsay, which freaks her the fuck out, which gets Lori's attention.
And like Tommy is straight like done with this.
It's like nope, I'm done. I'm out. I just fucking saw the boogeyman.
And you know, Lori goes to look, and it's like
She's not there
No.
because of course he's not.
So he's just like, come on, maybe these movies are doing something to you, huh? And Tommy's just like, I'll be quiet, but nobody ever believes me. Oh, poor kid.
Yeah.
Oh, ye of little faith. So then,
two of Anne's friends decide to show up and.
okay, I've got the names here, and they're pretty fucking silly names, okay? Are you ready for these names?
I am ready.
Okay, hold on. Okay. Linda Vanderklok
Linda Vanderklok.
and Bob Sims. They show up in a van, okay?
They show up in a van.
And there's a joke here that I mentioned to him. Because they do something in a little bit that makes, like, 0 sense to do. But they show up and they're like, alright, let's go say hi to Annie and Lindsay. And they're like, you know what the plan is? And Bob. Okay, got it. Disclaimer. I highly fucking think this was sarcasm.
I should mention that at this point in the movie, I couldn't remember who most of the characters' names were. But I was pretty confident I knew what the little girl's name was. That's relevant.
Yeah, that's kind of relevant here. Disclaimer. I highly think it was sarcasm.
I'm hoping it was sarcasm.
So he goes. So she goes, you know the plan? And he was like, alright, well, you go in, and I go in, say hi to Annie, we take your clothes off, we take Annie's clothes off, take my clothes off, and then we take Lindsay's clothes off. Ah! Got it.
I'm hoping that was just intended as a joke.
I think it was a joke.
I'm positive it was a joke, but the way it was delivered
could
have been better.
This was in 1978, and even then, I'm sure that was frowned upon.
God.
Even then,
oh God, I need to get water.
Yeah, so, pedophilia joke aside, they go into the house, and it's empty. So they're like, cool, no one's home, let's go bang. Not a fucking joke! They bang on the couch! They
start making out on the couch, but since nobody's around, they decide to go to the parents' bedroom and
they call Laura, or Lori first, and they're talking, and she's just,
Lori spills
the beans.
Lori figured that Annie would have been backed by this point. So she's a little surprised that she hasn't shown back up.
So they're like, cool, let's go bang in the bedroom.
So then they go up to the parents' bedroom and start fucking.
Not a joke. These teenagers. I'm sure. I made the nitpick, though, earlier. So it was like, man, Jamie Lee Curtis does not look like a teenager in this. And I was like, and ProtoMet is just like,
Does any teenager in any work of fiction actually look like a teenager?
They do in anime!
That's anime, not live action. I mean live action.
Actual teenagers.
You shut your whore mouth.
Oh, shit. The tables have turned! So they're banging, and they're banging, and they're banging in the fakest looking sex ever, unless they're into belly button porn. Then okay. You like weird kinks, but you have them. Go ahead and have them. So they finish fucking, and Bob's like, all right, and Bob's like, I want a beer. I want a beer too. Oh, you're not gonna get me one? All right, I'll be back. The cardinal sin of horror movies. I'll be back.
Because of course he doesn't come back.
He goes downstairs and he hears a noise and he thinks it's Annie hiding.
No, it's Michael.
And he fucking chokes the living shit out of. He lifts him up with one hand.
He chokes.
Oh my god!
He chokes Sam so much that he can. With Bob so hard that he can actually lift the guy up by his neck, and then he stabs the guy in the stomach.
And this leads to the funniest kill.
And Bob dies.
Probably the funniest kill in the entire movie, because stabbed through the gut. And Bob just sort of goes limp, because, a stab to the stomach apparently kills everybody in horror movies. And then he's literally speared to the wall with a kitchen knife.
Doesn't make
a kitchen knife.
Doesn't make a goddamn lick of sense when you think about it.
If it was a machete, I would understand. But even then, a machete.
Like if you're watching this and not thinking about it too hard, it's like, oh, that's okay. That happened.
No,
but then if you actually think about it, it's like, wait, how long was that knife? That knife was like barely long enough.
That knife was 6 inches, okay?
That could have penetrated him, maybe come out the back, and maybe struck the door or whatever, or wall that was behind him. But there's no fucking way that Bob would have been pinned to that wall by a knife. Through the gut.
And here's the other, like I said, stab to the gut, that kills everybody. No, the thing is, realistically, with a 6-inch knife, with a 6-inch kitchen knife, a stab to the gut wouldn't kill you. Logically,
and to prove it, we're going to test it. Huh. So anyway.
No, like a stab to the gut, I can understand that doing some damage. That's a lot of damage. But unless you're fucking disemboweled, you're not gonna die immediately from it.
And he pretty much dies immediately.
Now, if it was a stab through the ribs, okay.
Now, here's the point that I was going to mention earlier, but how absolutely bloody this movie is not.
Yeah, the movie's actually bloodless.
For the most part, yeah. Like, there is very little blood in this slasher movie.
It is very much like Texas Chainsaw Massacre in that
it makes you think that there's more blood than there really is.
Yes. Which is a sign of a smart horror movie.
Yeah. It tricks the viewer into thinking.
If you haven't seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre in a while, if you look back on it, you're like, oh man, that was a gruesome movie. That was really
Then you rewatch it, it's like, wait, no, the only bit of blood was when they cut her finger or something.
Yeah. And Grandpa's the best at killing. Woo!
Yeah, so, this movie is not gory.
It's not gory, but it's not without gore. If that makes sense. Because there's a scene that's pretty fucking brutal. That I'll get into in a bit. But so Bob's dead,
Yeah.
and so then she gets a.
And Michael just is looking at the guy.
Yeah,
He's admiring his handiwork.
he's admiring his scientifically impossible handiwork.
He's adding to his Bob collection.
Yes, and quite a Bob collection that is.
I wanted to say Bub collection. That would have made the joke even better. If his name was Bub.
So Linda calls Lori, and she's just like, yeah, hey, you should come over or whatever, some shit. And in the middle of all this, you know, Michael Myers is actually there in the room.
Lindsay doesn't realize it because he's wearing a sheet and Bob's glasses.
Yeah.
Over the sheet. So she, none the wiser, just assumes that Bob's playing a dumb prank that...
And she fucking dies for it.
Michael strangles her with the phone.
And here we get a bit of boobage, but that's here or there, give or take. If that's your thing, well then, okay.
But it's at this point that Lori, who's still on the phone with
Lori. And Lori's just like,
Lori's on the phone with who?
Linda.
Okay.
Lori's on the phone with Linda.
So many L names.
Yeah. Loomis, Lori, Linda.
It's giving me a headache now.
Lindsay. There's 4 L names!
Oh god, I think my eye's bleeding.
Were you reading Sutter Kane?
That movie hadn't come out yet.
Well, still.
Anyway, but yeah, so Michael Myers is strangling Linda with the phone cord while Lori is listening, and Lori just kind of assumes that it's the same bullshit that Anne pulled earlier when she was eating when she called Lori.
Yeah.
Lori.
And so she's just, but it goes on for way too long. So then she's just like, that's unusual. She goes and she looks out the window, and the lights turn off, and then they turn back on. And Lori's like, okay.
So she sends the kids to bed and goes over to investigate.
10 out of 10 investigative journalism here. What a fucking brilliant idea. That's a weird noise they were saying on the phone. Annie's still not there. Okay.
Okay, so at some point during all of this confusion, Loomis and the sheriff are at the Myers house.
Yeah, they're investigating.
They're still looking for Michael, and at some point in the movie, Loomis delivers probably one of the best lines in the entire movie. So much that they use it in the trailer, and it's so works.
Yeah, Loomis essentially says, and the line I'll do verbatim, but he essentially says, I met this young kid.
You're paraphrasing, not verbatim.
Yeah,
That's the opposite.
No, I'm paraphrasing except for the one line.
Oh, okay.
Which is what I said. I said I'll do the line verbatim. I met this young kid. Who had murdered his sister. Oh, by the way, they visited the grave of Michael Myers' sister, and it was missing.
Yeah, the headstone of
Judith Myers.
Judith Myers was missing from the graveyard.
It's a J name, not an L name.
Oh, my headache's starting to go away.
But he essentially says, I met this kid who murdered his sister, and he had the blackest eyes, the eyes of evil. I spent 8 years trying to reach him, and another 7 trying to keep him locked away. And the sheriff is just like, oh shit.
I thought it was 7 years and 6 years.
7.
Okay, so it's 15 years. I fucked up.
Yeah, it's 15 years. Spent 8 years trying to reach him, and another 7 trying to keep him locked up.
Because what I found behind those eyes was pure evil.
The eyes of evil. And that's why he learned how to drive.
Because he has Shinigami eyes. Oh god, it's Death Note all over again. Shit was great. Go read Death Note.
And then there's another scene that's...
And then, like, stop halfway through because they kill off a cruel character, and it doesn't... That's when that series peaked.
Death Note's kind of shit. I'm not gonna lie. I have a lot of problems with it that it's just not.
That's a topic for another day.
It's just not my cup of tea.
Fair
But there's another scene where a bunch of kids are where the bullies are at Michael Myers' place, and Loomis is hiding behind the bushes. And he
happens to overhear one of the bullies calling one of the other kids by name, and basically convincing the kid to go up and ring the doorbell. And Loomis
scares the kids.
Even calling the kid by name from the bushes.
And they all run off. And he has a little chuckle to himself, and it's like, God damn, Loomis, you're fucking nuts. You're just as fucking nuts as everybody else. Then again, I think he was just trying to keep the kids away from the house.
Yeah.
Because get out of there.
Yeah.
So he hangs up.
Because they're under the assumption that Myers is going to return to the house.
At some point.
Yeah.
But I'll say my theory at the end of the movie of why Michaels did what he did.
So anyway, Laurie goes over to
investigate, and nobody's home.
At least not that she's aware.
And she goes to the bedroom, and she finds
all three of them just piled up.
And the tombstone.
And the headstone.
Which is a nice little bit of, what the fuck, Michael? Yeah. What the fuck?
It's like, what, you making a shrine to your dead sister like Jason did in the third movie? Second movie?
Oh,
Sorry.
No. Oh, no. That's where the inspiration was from. Just kidding. Yeah, so she walks out of the room because she's sort of...
of course she encounters Michael.
Yeah, she's completely fucking, like, done. She wants to get out.
Nope.
And Michael tries to stab her in the shoulder, and it fails completely. It, like, grazes her.
Yeah, so, like, the most blood you'll see in this movie is,
Laurie's arm.
Laurie's arm with the slash in it.
And she takes a fucking tumble over the stab. That is primo stunt work there.
So she's got a limp for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, I firmly think she broke her leg. Is what I'm thinking.
So she hobbles over to Tommy's place.
She runs outside and she's trying to get anybody to open their fucking door. And they don't, because it's the 70s, and nobody ever thought a fucking person being murdered was something to open a door for.
I like to think that Loomis was still inside the house. That's probably why he didn't hear that right away.
The house is not next to him.
I didn't say that they were next to them.
Oh, I see.
Like, he was inside the Myers house. That's why he didn't hear this.
Well, he would have been down the block anyway.
So, yeah, that's why he was inside the house. It muffled her screams. That's why she didn't.
But no, she's banging on a neighbor's door. And the neighbor.
The guy turns on his light, checks, sees that it's a kid, and it's just like, and then just checks out. He's like, fuck this. What an asshole!
Here's the thing that is absolutely brilliant about that scene too, where she's banging on the neighbors. So in the sequel, there's a scene very similar to this, and they lampshade this scene in particular very well. That's all I'll say about that. The 2018 sequel, because it's very well done.
Oh, it was in the last year's sequel.
I thought it was in the next movie. No, not in the next movie. In last year's sequel, they lampshade this scene, and they do it because they do a different spin on it. They do a different take on it. That's what is the word? Indicative of the culture of the time, if that makes sense. So yeah, she's just like, fuck you. She tries to run over to Tommy's place, and Michael Myers is on her fucking ass.
So she's pounding on the door, screaming up to Tommy, Tommy, wake up! Let me in! What? Tommy, wake up! Let me in!
She fucking throws like a flower pot up at the window. And Tommy's just like, what?
Let me in!
Alright. Fucking doesn't even know what's going on. She fucking opens the door, and immediately she's screaming in his face, get upstairs, lock the door, hide. Just do what I fucking say. She fucking locks the door behind her, and this is the best scene in the movie. This is the climax of the movie.
Is that the boogeyman?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a line. But so she's sitting on the couch. She thinks she's finally fucking escaped the guy. She's trying to call the police, and then he breaks in through the window. Not even through the window. He just opens the window. He opens the window and sneaks in after he cuts the phone line. And so she's like, fuck! And then she grabs a knitting needle.
And stabs him in the neck.
And Michael goes down like a bitch in that scene. Like a bitch!
To be fair, the neck is a bit of a vulnerable area.
I'm just saying, he goes down like a bitch. He drops. So then she takes his knife. She holds onto it. And Michael gets back up, continues the chase, and just sort of hides out. Or she accidentally drops the knife somewhere, runs upstairs, tells them to lock themselves in the room, and then she hides in the closet of the bedroom. After opening the door to the patio.
I suppose to kind of distract him. Make him think that she went out to the patio.
Yeah. And he fucking does not take the bait.
Yeah, no. She uses something to basically lock herself inside the closet.
She used a piece of cloth.
To tie the door shut. And Michael, he just decides, fuck that.
He busts the fucking thing open.
Tries to get at her.
And Lori, with the wit and ingenuity, grabs
a clothes hanger, unspools part of it, stabs her attacker in the eye.
And this was the brutal scene I was talking about. Fucking stabs him in the eye, and he's
She manages to get out of the closet, finds the knife.
He fucking just goes down.
He stabs him with the knife.
And he just, boom, he goes down. And she gets the door open, and she tells Tommy and Lindsay, go to the neighbor's house, get them to open the door, tell them to call the police, do not wait for me. Okay? Do as I say. And Loomis is walking down the street and sees them run out of the house screaming.
Now, I just want to mention, after the kids depart the scene, we get probably the best shot in the entire movie.
Yeah, it is
My God, it is a really good shot.
It is arguably one of the greatest shots in horror movie cinema.
So the kids have just left, and Laurie is there, just starting to calm down from the harrowing experience she just had, and
in the
background, out of focus, he gets up.
He sits up. He does an Undertaker sit up. If anybody,
he probably took that from Michael.
That's almost a given.
Yeah.
Yeah, Michael Myers just
sits up
and stares at her.
Just stares her down. And if you're just focusing on Laurie, you might miss this.
Yeah.
But there's just enough. Laurie is kind of in the corner. The way it's framed,
she's on the bottom left corner.
She's in a corner, and so Michael is nearly in center frame. So obviously there's a focus on him without him being in focus.
Yeah.
So you're supposed to see that he gets up.
It's a brilliant shot.
Oh, it's
like
so
modern
great.
movies nowadays. Modern movies nowadays would okay, it's in focus on Laurie. And now it's in focus on the background. Oh no, he sat up. Or this is more smartly shot, where it's like, the focus is entirely on Laurie, but in the background, you just see him sit up. And it does not focus on him. It does not put him in focus.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay, so now at this point, Loomis has encountered the kids who tell him what's going on.
Well, no, he just sees the kids and he's like, oh, that's a good sign.
That's not a good sign.
That's not. Well, it's a good sign for him. That means he's gonna find Michael.
Yes.
Not a good sign for anybody else in the vicinity. So
Michael gets back up
and attacks Laurie, and Laurie
during the struggle tears his mask off,
and
we see him, and
he's missing an eye.
You don't even realize this.
I did not. I thought he still had the eye.
Like, you get a good look at his face, but it's not so good that you immediately notice that he's missing an eye. My recycled balls here was just about to nitpick the hell out of the fact that he still had an eye when I was like, no, he doesn't.
And we re-look at him like, oh, fuck, he doesn't have an eye. Shit.
So remembering the scene, I had kind of thought that he had both of his eyes, but then when I was rewatching it with the memory of the fact that he had been stabbed in the eye fresher in my mind, I noticed that
the eyeball is missing.
Like, there is visible damage to his face to indicate that he is missing an eye.
Mm-hmm. Without blood, too.
And that is a blink and you'll miss it kind of effect.
Yeah. Michael Myers. This is like one of the only times you see Michael Myers as Michael Myers. As him.
As anything other than the shape, as he's referred to in the credits.
As he is referred to in the credits. And he puts the mask back on, and Loomis fucking busts in. Unloads 6 shots into him.
He falls out. He's shot all the way to the patio and falls onto the lawn. And Loomis, he goes to check on Laurie and make sure she's okay. And then he goes to check on
Michael, and he's missing.
He's gone.
And it's here that we get one of the most iconic endings in horror movie cinema. Loomis, Laurie was asked, was that the boogeyman? And Loomis says, as a matter of fact, that was. And he goes out to look, and Michael Myers has gone missing, and Loomis freaks the fuck out.
Well, he quietly freaks the fuck out.
Yeah.
You can tell in his mind he's freaking the fuck out.
He's internally screaming. And he runs outside and he's like, quick, call the police. He's on the loose. And the fucking chick's like, what are you talking about? I've been trick-or-treated like shit tonight.
No, that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen.
Yes, it does.
No,
I'm pretty sure it does.
No, I'm pretty sure that's in the sequel.
Is that in the sequel?
I'm pretty confident that's in the sequel. I'm pretty confident.
Okay, yeah. See, the two movies sort of seamlessly.
That's kind of the beauty about the second movie. It's a direct sequel.
You literally put the last scene here,
and then the second movie starts from there and goes on from there.
But yeah, so you hear right. Okay, so he's missing, and Loomis is quietly freaking out.
And this is when the movie ends.
Yeah, and we hear Michael Myers breathing heavily, and then the movie's over.
And that's why it's such a That's a beautiful ending for the movie.
It ends on a cliffhanger.
That's how I knew that when you started saying that he went out and missed somebody who had been trick-or-treating. That's when I knew you were misremembering how that movie ended. A fair point. You did talk about why you misremembered that.
Yeah, because it's so fucking seamless.
Also, it really doesn't help that on the Angry Video, when James Rolfe was doing his Halloween video for the Atari, he used that
to end it.
To end his video.
And that's a good video, by the way.
Which I think may have actually been where you're remembering it from.
Probably. Probably.
That was such a good video. Go watch James Rolfe's stuff. Just fantastic work.
Yeah.
I mean, not like he needs any more plugging. Just about everybody knows who the Angry Video Game Nerd is, pretty much.
Copyright claim.
So that was Halloween.
I don't even fuck. Okay, so Right. I was about to mention my theory. So, the reason Michael Myers targets them specifically, I mentioned this to you. It makes sense now why he targets them specifically, those group of girls. Because they were the ones who fucking taunted him.
Yeah.
They were the ones to fucking talk to him. Inadvertently.
Makes sense.
Speed kills. And then he fucking pauses. So in his mind, well, they're dead.
Of course, that theory goes out the window once the second movie starts introducing some kind of
bullshit. That fucking second
some
movie.
bullshit that ends up carrying over for most of the remainder of the franchise.
Except the new movie. The new movie completely fucking retcons that.
Okay.
Which, thank God.
We'll get into that bullshit when we get there.
But So I don't know. So Halloween, a great film. Probably, God, I'd say it's maybe a 9 out of 10. Maybe a 10 out of 10.
I'm not going to lie. I no longer find this movie scary.
I don't think it.
I will recommend anybody watch this movie, but I don't find this movie to be all that scary.
I don't think it. Well, I mean, it's aged extremely well, but the scares are just not scary anymore because we've seen so much fucking shit in this day and age. Jesus Christ! I mean, just the other.
It's like if you've watched any slasher movie.
The other month, the scariest thing that's happened in the world is some dude fucking walking into an office building and lighting it on fire.
That was like 3 months ago.
That was 3 months ago. That's the fucking scariest thing that's happened this year. Just the fucking thought of it.
I mean, that's debatable, but yeah, no. But that's probably because we're adults now, and we now recognize that the world is fucking shit. So we watch movies to distract ourselves from this.
The world is fucking shit, and so is everything else.
But I'm not going to lie. While I don't find this movie scary, I can completely understand why this movie specifically is basically the go-to template for slasher movie plots.
It's surprising
because it is very well done.
It's very well done, and it accomplished what it needed to do by only killing 5 people.
Yeah, I mean,
it doesn't have a grandiose death count like the sequel or some of the other movies. It's just, hey, he's a serial killer, and he just kills random people.
And like I said, there's a reason why other movies use this as a template for slasher films. That's not a derision of this movie. That's a testament to how good this movie is. That other movies feel like they have to rely on this plot to not be nearly as good.
So with that said, that's 4 John Carpenter movies this month.
Yeah. We're not going to accomplish that next year because I have different plans for that.
Yeah.
But stay tuned next year for when we cover Halloween 2.
Yeah.
More of the night he came home. That is actually what the tagline is. What the hell?
Yeah, I know.
But we'll get into that next year.
Yeah, next year that'll probably be the thing. But I just want to say it was fun doing the trilogy.
And then following it up with this is
we got a very flawed but very fun movie. A
surprisingly underrated movie.
A flawed but a very underrated movie
that nobody talks about. A movie that everybody talks about, which I will recommend, but I will admit wasn't my favorite of the 3. For reasons I explained in that video. And then probably his most famous work.
Yeah, his most famous horror work. I'd argue Escape from New York is probably his most famous work.
That is debatable.
Either that or motherfucking Big Trouble in Little China. Oh, what a movie that is.
Some point we should cover that.
Oh my god, we need to. It's so good!
But we'll take a break.
Most of Carpenter's movies are so good! And then there's this other half that is just like, ooh, I wouldn't touch that with a fucking 10-foot pole.
But
I honestly think next year we should do Dario Argento.
all right. But we're still finishing up with Halloween 2.
Yeah, we're still finishing up with Halloween 2. It's going to become a tradition at this point. And
Yeah.
if they come out with a sequel, then yay!
So yeah, more movies that I've not seen.
Yeah. I don't know. I suggest Argento because Argento is like my favorite fucking director.
I was thinking we'd like just review a bunch of movies named after Poe stories.
Oh yeah,
having
that's right.
nothing to do.
That's right. We were gonna do that next year. Yeah. Yeah. Next.
So we've got two options for what we're doing next year.
Yeah. Next year.
Movies based on Poe stories but having nothing to do with the stories.
Or the Argento series, which does
Could
count.
go either way.
Which does count Dawn of the Dead, by the way, because he did produce that.
Okay.
So fair enough. Unless we want to end up doing the Dead series at a later date.
I think we should probably do the Dead series at a later
Yeah,
date.
that's fair enough. But boy, that series goes south real fast.
But yeah, after this video,
Are we including Return of the Living Dead in that series?
no.
Okay.
That'll be its own thing because it's got its own.
It's its own thing.
We're discussing stuff way in the future, but
Yeah.
after this podcast, we're going to be taking a break from Carpenter and getting back to our roots. Not sure which movie we're going to be covering next, but it'll either be Gundam or Star Wars. Could go either way. Until next time, I've been ProtoMet.
Hey,
I did it again.
You did it again. Get out of this house.
I'm ProtoMet.
On my recycled balls. This is ProtoBalls talk, and I'm angry at you.